Hello everyone and welcome to the Open at Tallahassee presented by Dynamic Disc. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, joined by Zach Melton as we're going to give you the action from round one. Zach, Dynamic Disc, yourself, great representation here in Tallahassee, and we're here on hole one. What are we looking at?
All right, so hole one, it's 325 feet. You have an OB fence on your left the entire way down, kind of circles around the basket, and you just kind of want to hang a shot out to the right and let it finish back a little left under the basket.
All right, and JohnE McCray, of course, latitude 64.
Yeah, it looks like he sawed it off just a little bit, but nice soft finish.
I think that's a mid or a putter of sorts,
Yeah,
so it's not going to get too much ground play.
No, it looked like a slow shot. I think Maddie's throwing a mid as well. Oh no, he went hyzer. He's the first person I've seen do that. Not bad though.
A little bit short, but yeah, not too bad. It's kind of surprising because I feel like that straight shot is right there for you.
Yeah. I know Paul is throwing one of his signature line buzzes. I got to practice a few holes with him, and this white one is the straighter of the two that he likes to throw.
Fortunately, just a bit long. Too much action there. He's found the parking lot, or the driveway, I should say. Here's Heimburg, and that's finishing hard left.
He hit the fence and kicked back into the circle. He told me he threw his champ rhino, and he let go of his drive and was like, oh no.
So Maddie's probably looking at 55 feet or so.
Yeah. It's hard to give that a bid with the OB, probably 25 past the basket.
So McBeth has brought himself back in about 1 meter from the OB line. You don't see too much action on the flag there.
You really don't. This first round, I have to say our conditions were really optimal. Very little wind, and of course Paul cashes circle's edge putt for par.
Saving the par, so have to work for it here on the first hole, but not too bad with a par.
Out, right? That's the rule. So if I mark it, I'm still outside the circle, right, Kevin? Yes. Yes is the answer.
Johnny answered his own question, but
And Johnny's asking about the circle, probably for some form of a jump putt. Of course, anytime you're outside that 10-meter circle, you can lunge forward.
Johnny's a big fan of the step putt, which obviously he does it well. You could tell why he wanted to do it. Calvin from 25, he told me. Got a good bank off the fence.
I'm not sure that's the recommended route, but it looks like it works for him. Sets him up nicely.
I will say two people in my card banked it off the fence. And so a little quick story after this, behind this putt, when Calvin and I pulled into the parking lot with 10 minutes to warm up, his phone was almost dead. He turned his car on, plugged his phone up, and he said he remembered when he was putting that putt for birdie that his car was still running in the parking lot. And he said, I worked myself on that putt.
Priorities, I suppose, making sure that you have a full battery on the phone or trying to juice it up before the round.
He said he caged it, walked up, tapped out, and just took off running to the car.
All right, well, we move over to hole number 2. It's a par 3, and it looks like it kind of sets up for a righty, a little better than a lefty.
It does. It's 335 feet. It's probably plays a lot longer than that. I feel like it plays around 250 or 350. The shot to throw is kind of a righty slight flex down the middle, as you'll see Johnny and probably everyone throw. They're trying to hit a disc with a little bit of ante, and it comes out of it and slides up onto the green, and that looked pretty good.
Yeah, he throws I believe it's got like I don't know if it's a Darth Vader, some kind of Star Wars type custom stamp on it, and it's blue and blackish, and it's really tough to follow when it's overcast like it is today.
Matt made it a little easier for you with that,
he did.
that orange disc for the park job. Looks like Paul's throwing that same buzz. Little early release.
Yeah, that's going to fade off left for him.
Which you have a road that's OB on the right, but it's really hard to get to it. Left is where you don't want to go. This is a Luster Rock 3 from Calvin. And that looks about perfect.
That's a pretty darn good looking shot, yeah.
He got a woo.
And now McBeth is coming from that left side rough and almost puts it in from nowhere.
That's crazy. The rough on this course is really, really rough. It's hard to play out of. Bang.
Man, he looks dialed. These first two putts just dead center and dialed in.
It's a nice birdie to get on your second hole. It's a very challenging par 3.
Calvin no longer stressing over his phone and
No.
battery life.
I don't think he has to worry about anyone driving away in his car now.
that too, I suppose. I was thinking about his phone. Yeah, he should probably be worried about his actual car.
Yeah.
So we see 3 pretty good birdies there, and McBeth off to a little bit of a slow start, making the good putt on 1 just to save the par, and hole 2 walking away with a par here as well. Visit Tallahassee is a primary sponsor and proud to support the PDGA 2019 Open at Tallahassee and welcomes all competitors and their families to Tallahassee. Named a top 10 best Southern city by Southern Living magazine, we invite the visitors to explore and discover for themselves why Tallahassee is so special. For more information on restaurants, shopping, things to do, events, and much more, go to visittallahassee.com. I'm going to move into something a little bit more, well, we'll say tight and wooded here. Well, not really wooded. It's open and then plays to a mouth, doesn't it?
Yeah, the green is extremely wooded. The hole is 245 feet, and I would say the first 200 feet are open, and then, boom, you hit the woods.
And you really need to hit that gap.
Yes, you're hoping you do. Johnny throws it perfect. He hits the front side of the green and slides up over the hill.
And that's at least near the mouth. You
Yeah.
should have a look from there.
Yeah, if you had to pick a side to miss on, I think the right side is the way to miss. It's a little more thinned out, which Calvin hits a tree as I say that, but we talked about it in practice. The right side is the way to miss if you do. Looks like Calvin and Paul both. Paul gets that little bit of a forward kick, but believe it or not, the left side is worse than the right.
I was just going to say, we talk about how open it is or how much more available it is. Oh, and a great run by Calvin. So, yeah, if this is the better of the two sides, that really tells you just how tight it is on that left side.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy courses like this where the rough is slightly punishing, where you can't just error a shot and still have a wide open look.
Matty O completely committed to that as he falls forward. McBeth doing a little horse maintenance here.
Paul just breaking trees. And I will say, if it wasn't for this little bent tree on the green, a lot of these putts would be pretty open, but it kind of makes you contend with it when you're over here on the right side.
Yeah, and you really have to commit. Do you want to go over it or under it? And
Yeah.
at what point does it come into your flight path? And JohnE McCray, what a park job.
Park job.
3 for 3 to get started here.
Yeah, he's got a turkey.
JohnE McCray, I think, as so many of us already famously know, he's eligible to play in a couple of age-protected divisions, and obviously opts not to. And when you're coming out here and starting the way you are here in Tallahassee, you can see why.
You see why he played open instead of Masters.
Speaking of Masters, Barry Schultz opening up with a great round. I'll spoil that one for you. He opened with a great round
Spoiler alert.
here. All right, we're moving into a par 4 that's only 325 feet.
Oh, yeah.
What is this doing?
This hole is probably, everyone would agree, is probably the weak link of the course, but it's very tight, it's very technical, it's not very long, and it requires 2 righty backhand shots that go right to left, and you're just hoping you don't hit one of the 1,000 trees on this hole. And Matt throws it perfect. You cannot throw this hole better than that.
That's exactly what you're looking to try and do. The question is, will you have a good stance?
You'll see so many different shots. Matt threw a mid, Calvin threw a Firebird. think Paul's throwing one of his stable buzz. And like you said, you just hope that you have a good shot on your second shot, even after throwing a good tee shot.
So McCray with a rare forehand. You
Yeah,
know that it's not good if he's throwing a forehand.
You don't see this often. I actually really enjoy seeing that. That was a great shot.
It was good out there by
He needs to
McCray.
bust that thing out more.
I believe this is his zone.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got an alley to the left and to the right. Looks like he's setting up, obviously, for the left-hand gap instead.
Yeah, just don't hit that one.
Just don't hit that one. There's a lot of them not to hit. Look at these tee shots by these guys. It's incredible.
And what's really tough about this, not only do you have to hit the initial gap, then you have to hit the second gap, but then you need it to sit down. Because this hole is perched up on top of a hillside, and there's danger everywhere around it.
Yeah, after Johnny's shot, you'll be able to see the green, and it's almost impossible to lay up on this hole. It's either like run it or leave it 30 short and have a long look. And that looks good, but we'll see. You never know. That could have rolled off the green.
Yeah, and
Looks
this
like
is what
it's straight.
Paul's looking at for his birdie.
You got on the board. Great birdie by Paul. This is, to be a 325-foot par 4, you feel great about walking away with a 3. Matt, looks like he's got a tough lie.
Yeah, he took quite a bit of time to get himself on that hillside,
Mm-hmm.
just finding like a safe stance so that he could be on that hillside and even attempt that putt. I give him a lot of credit for drawing that much metal.
Calvin with the tap-in birdie.
Yeah, you'll take that all day here. Like you said, to get it to sit down where it did was an accomplishment in itself for Kelvin.
Definitely a little luck involved. Got to throw that cheap shot in there. He says, Calvin says he's #blessed. So
We'll move on to hole number 5. And we can go back to airing it out just a little bit here. There's a right and a left side, but really the only practical way is to go to the right.
yeah,
correct?
everyone takes the right. It's 360 feet, and you need it to hold straight for 320 feet and then start to fade off to the left side. It really sets up for a righty shot that you kind of keep flat for a while. Calvin's throwing a champion eagle, and that looks like it was pretty good. Maybe caught a tree on the green. It's kind of surrounded by 4 guardians on each side, but they're so close. They're really not too bad as long as you're up inside the circle.
You see Paul's filtering there toward the basket. If I was standing directly behind the tee, you actually can't see the basket, which
Yeah.
is why I came off center here, hoping for a little bit of that skip
Now this is a
action.
good viewpoint to be able to see the green. Paul threw a tsunami. Found that out.
And McCray stays off to the right side. A good angle, good distance. Just didn't quite get as much of a skip as
Just
the
a little
others.
low and didn't get the skip. Matt throwing a great shot. A little left side on the green, but he's putting.
And at this point, you see the umbrellas out. We're just fighting a little bit of a drizzle. It's definitely not a constant rain, but it's enough just to get the umbrellas out.
It was enough to be annoying. On again, off again. Oh, Johnny with the stepper. He's feeling it.
I was going to say, Todd, speaking of on again,
Yeah.
wow.
It's got to be the beard. Great looking beard.
He goes to 4 down in the first 5 holes.
Nice putt by Matt. I bet he was close to circle's edge.
I think he was just, no less than a step inside of it. And as you were watching Matt, not only do we know he has one of the most unique forms in terms of driving, definitely a very unique putting style as well. McBeth also in for birdie. So Calvin's trying to make it a star frame.
4 twos.
Bang, bang.
Some great drives, couple of great putts. That's what we kind of expect to see from these guys, though.
There it is. So we move back into the woods. A very tight, narrow shot for hole number 6. It's a shorty, but it's all about accuracy. And you got to make sure you somehow don't miss the Mando.
There's a Mando at the turn. It's kind of a right to left downhill shot, and you're trying to throw it just right of the Mando, splitting a couple trees, and then you want it to fade down the hill to the basket. Calvin looked to do it perfect.
This is another one. This kind of reminds me of hole 4. You're throwing and just really hoping
Yes.
that it's going to be right where you want it.
You can hear Paul with the sarcastic yes, but that's kind of how you feel when you throw this tee shot. You think you've thrown it good, and then sometimes you can catch a late tree. Johnny with the head shake. I don't think he loved it, but didn't hit a tree.
And this looks like, is that a mid or?
That is, I'm pretty sure that's an M2 that Matt's throwing. That gray, I think it's a proto M2. Kind of slightly overstable mid. He's thrown it a few times already.
So you see he's got at least 60, maybe 75?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, even more than that. There it is.
Gave it a run, sat on the green.
Yeah, you have to be careful here because if this does catch edge or you're a little aggressive with it, you know, what looks like a near make can turn into a 30-foot comeback.
Yeah, it's a quick green. Paul with it framed up, just pushed it, and you could see that his putter kind of slid off the backside. It's like you said, it's a quick green. Johnny with circles edge, maybe just a little outside. Oh wow. You know you're feeling good about your round in your game when you're running putts from a knee like that, low ceiling.
Downhill. So McBeth has a little bit of a comebacker. He's got that tree to contend with.
Yeah, dead center.
In talking to him as before the tournament got started, he said really it just comes down to his putter. He feels like that's the only thing that's had a variance this year. He feels really comfortable with a lot of other stuff, but he said his putter is what he needs to make sure is on track. And I guess that could be said, of course, of all players.
Yes.
But when you feel like the only thing, you know, that is going to determine just how hot or cold you are is if you are 100% or are you only 95% in Paul's case, right?
Maybe like 93% when he doesn't putt good.
Yeah, exactly.
I missed 1 out of 10.
Paul McBeth problems, right?
Yeah. And so Calvin getting the lone birdie on hole 6.
Yeah, for just 220 feet, this one provides plenty of challenge. We're going to move on to hole number 7. We're going back uphill.
Yeah, this hole is 270 feet. You have a tight gap to hit off the tee and halfway, and then you need a disc to go really straight and then have a little bit of fade on it and not go too far past the basket. Probably 8 feet past the basket is the road, which is OB.
Now at 270 feet, this has to play effectively 340?
I think it plays at least 3 to 320, definitely.
Okay.
And Calvin putting it right by the tree on the green.
Yeah, you see how much power Paul had to put into that. I mean,
Yeah,
if we're just going 270, it definitely throws a lot
Yeah, you
harder.
could see the difference. Calvin chose an eagle and kind of threw it more smooth. Paul ripped on his buzz, but they're both on the green. I would assume that's a fairway by Johnny. Looked pretty smooth, but he said that's what he did yesterday. But he's got a putt.
And McCray, who sits 4 down through the first 6.
And Matt decided to be neighbors with Calvin.
So you're talking about that OB. Paul comes up just
Paul
a few feet short of it.
Got very close to it. Very good putt. I don't know how far he was. I was on the next tee, and he had to wait for us to tee off before we walked off, so I didn't know if he was going to get iced on that putt, but no ice. He's good.
And it continues.
Great
Holy
putt by
cow.
Johnny.
He goes 5 down through the first 7. And now, interestingly enough, that bag right there doesn't have too many discs or any discs. That's all towels.
Really?
Yeah, he wanted to be prepared as Kelvin puts in his birdie.
So he was carrying the towel bag. Did Jen have his disc golf
Yes,
bag?
exactly. He took the lighter bag.
Yeah, you can see if you get to this tree on the green, you have like a 10 to 12 foot tap in. That's what you want.
Beautiful. So 4 birdies
Star
on
frame
hole
again.
7 again. Now we're going to move on to 8. We also are going to get a little strategy here between Kelvin and Paul, but this is a long par 4. Accuracy is key, keeping it in the middle and somehow not going long enough to find the OB creek.
It's 580 feet, but it honestly feels like it plays longer than that.
Here's Kelvin.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't know. I either throw eagle, like flipping eagle, and just, but like if you don't get far enough or just like the perfect spot, the approach is like.
I go with the AM1 forehand. My less overstable booster.
Yeah, because if you do get right, that's like the cleanest gap. It's just like.
Like a forehand roller and go right at Cole's back right there.
Yeah, the cleanest route to it is like almost just.
Yeah.
What's the official term of that, Paul?
My AM1 forehand.
And how do you describe that?
Just a huge Annie. Yep, just karate chop it right to the ground.
All right, we got a
we'll
new
see.
term. Here's Calvin, who was talking about his strategy,
And Calvin bailed on his eagle strategy. I know for a fact this was a destroyer that he decided to send. He did not. He sent it into the left rough.
ouch. So McBeth's going with an overstable. I believe this is a force. He's going to just try and Anheuser it straight down.
Oh my! What did he call that? AM1.
I think that was more like an AM6 forehand at that rate. I could throw a better forehand than that. Come on, Paul.
He obviously did not love that.
No, he said it slipped right out of his hand, and that's very punishing. But
I guess he forgot to karate chop. Johnny throwing it perfect. I was about to say, this sets up really good for Matt.
it does.
One of
a little
those
bit.
hyzer flip. And if you can see that ditch down there, that is actually an OB creek, which looks like Matt came up 10 feet short of.
He parked whatever pin placement is down there, obviously one of the shorter placements. You'll see it. He is basically right next to that pin placement as Calvin is trying to fight out of that left side cabbage.
We were putting out when Matt's drive came in, and I was like, wow, that is a great drive to have.
And
Paul,
yeah,
sneaky.
I'm not sure if that was the intended route or if he missed every tree
But-
he was planning on
But
missing.
he'll take it, though.
Yeah, he will.
Calvin throwing 3. You can kind of hear the sprinkles, and he's just laying up to a good position short of the creek.
Not sure if that was a good or a bad rollback.
Yeah, well, it's hard to tell on this hole. Crossing that creek, you have a lot of skinny trees to deal with.
And you would take that drive all day long where McCray is, and
Oh, you would, absolutely.
catches one of the low-hanging branches. But that is a really good drive, only to be upstaged by what we'll ultimately see out of Maddie's just in front of Calvin
I'm
here.
sure they'll let Matt play shortly.
So that's Calvin's fourth shot.
Fourth shot, and he still caught a tree on the way to the green. Probably has to make a putt for the bogey 5. And this is Johnny's shot was great. This is, like you said, ridiculous. To have a little standstill putter hyzer from like 110 feet, that's insane.
So McCray still has a look at birdie. He's going to go with the Anheuser around the trees on that left side.
Oh, turned it a little too much.
He's human.
He is human. He's a
Holy
man.
cow.
Paul, hyzer putt or through? Ooh, had the line a little short. Oh, he wanted that.
And to think he even had a look at birdie
Yeah.
after that less than ideal tee shot.
After that AM1 forehand.
I think you're doing a disservice to AM1s at that point.
Yeah,
though.
I'm gonna call it an AM2 forehand. Shots fired. Calvin cleans up the bogey, and it was not easy to get that bogey after he aired that
No,
first
he
shot.
still had to make a great putt to take the bogey. So here's McCray, who's going to walk away with a par. And
Easy.
I feel like if you said to the entire pro field, hey, could we give you a 4 for all 3 rounds, nobody would argue with that.
Nobody would argue. They would
They'd say,
love
sure,
that.
give me a 4, and we'll just move on. I'd be okay with that.
I think I've seen, counting Matt's birdie right here, I think I've seen 3 birdies in my 2 rounds.
Yeah, and that's as
Very,
good of a birdie
very
as it
difficult
gets.
par 4.
All right, well, we're going to go back up a hill now. We're going to play kind of back to where we saw 7 up near the roadside. And this is no walk in the park either.
No, it's If 8 is one of the harder par 4s, this is just a notch below it. You need to throw a really straight drive that kind of fades to the right and then checks back up. You can see the hillside and the sunlight. If you could get your drive there, that's where you want to be. But you're just hoping you don't catch one of these trees. And he just nicked it, man. Matt almost filleted it. That was very close.
And left side fairway kicks him to the right, just
Yeah.
like we saw from.
Paul wanted that shot to pull over a little more. This sets up for Johnny. I feel like he likes to pull discs over and then have them stable back out.
He normally does, and whatever that disc is, he's usually really good
Yeah.
about turning it over and watching it flex back. We've seen that on a number of shots, and this time he just really didn't turn it over. However, I think he's going to be rewarded with a decent
Oh.
shot.
And there is a ceiling on this hole, and that branch is not kind. You can see Calvin was hoping to get through, and it kicked him left. Now he's in scramble golf mode.
Very few have the outstretch that he
Yeah.
does, though, so that's going to play to his
That's definitely-
advantage.
Wow. Does it skip back? It did. Looks like it took a little bit of a roll, but the fact he has a putt after that drive, that's incredible.
McBeth also going to rely on a forehand, and he doesn't have much from there, and he'll have a long look at a putt.
Yeah, he and Matt. Phew. Matt's so close to being in a good spot.
Matt says he doesn't normally do these, and I think he tells us.
Come on, you look like a pro at those.
Oh man, I'm just
When's the last time you threw one of those?
nom.
No. Oh my gosh. So long time.
Yeah, it's been a while, Matty. And McCray from the left side, kind of scrambling through, but he's right next to the basket. and
He's-
He's looking to pick
he's
up
parked.
another birdie.
Yeah. Par really is no shame on this hole or the previous hole. These wooded par 4s are tough.
McBeth is online, but just short. So we've seen now back-to-back putts where it feels like he was pretty much online, but just short.
Yeah, he's been just far enough away. I think he wanted to be a little closer. Great putt.
And he knew
got,
it.
He got
knew
the
it.
birdie off the nom overhand.
We're going to have a little cleanup here on hole number 9. We're going to also move into a few lettered holes. I believe they must have had 18 holes out here originally at one point and then decided to add a bunch of other great holes. And so we're going to see some of those as this is a modified course.
Yeah, the course has 24 holes, and they broke it down to 22 holes for us, comboed a couple.
There it is. So this one, a par 5, a long down and back up, and it finishes to the left. You can rip it pretty much as far as you want on this first drive, and I think staying out of the rough on the left side is the number one goal that people should have. Just don't miss. I mean, I think it's more likely to miss left than anywhere, but just don't do that. You want to be out in the open here.
You cannot miss left on this hole. Left it's artificial OB, pretty much.
And that's really a perfect drive. That sets you up nicely. It gives you a good hyzer approach on your second shot as Johnny's checking his footing.
Yeah, you can see that wet tee pad. We did get a little bit of rain. It was kind of on again, off again, but nothing too bad. And Johnny is ripping it.
Wow.
That creek does play OB, and so does the road. And I think he's trying to split them.
And there's some spotters and volunteers down there, and they're going to hustle down and go get us a better look. We'll wait for the call.
It's taking a minute. They're not sure. They're going to let the group call it.
Which is a good call because it's really can be frustrating to have a spotter make usually, an incorrect call. And McBeth just didn't feel like maybe he got the air on it that he wanted.
No. To me, it looked like he was throwing his red force, which I would assume he was going for the bomb across. Calvin's definitely ripping a destroyer. Probably not happy going bogey par on the last 2 holes.
Oh, and easily clearing it.
That's a great tee shot.
And I feel like this is a great shot as well, as it's off to the right and I'm barely keeping it in frame. But that's exactly what you're trying to do on the second shot here. As the hole's up and to the left, I just panned over there.
Yeah, you want to get distance and kind of be up in the middle. You don't want to go early left, which as I say that,
Paul can hear you.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Paul's
Yeah,
like,
that's not where you want to be.
Land is the thing, right? That's
Yeah.
the thing, the land is what matters, right, Calvin?
Yeah. Yeah, there's like no. It's really just this way. I think you're good. This is like a little tough to blame. This comes out. You're good, Johnny.
You're good.
Yeah. Yeah, this is land underneath here. Yeah, there's a little dirt that comes out around here. It comes under. You're good. It's like a dirt.
That is OB. I could probably get a meter somewhere, Ray, right?
What? Yeah, you can get a meter this way.
Right back, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're gonna meet regardless if it's going out.
Right. Exactly. So,
If it was
where
out,
do you
you
think
could.
that spot would be, Paul?
I mean,
For a meter. Where would you give me to stand that part? We get a mini up here.
All right, so the group kind of, giving you a little insight as to how they arrive at their decisions.
that looks perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly the gap you're trying to hit and what you're trying to do. That's going to leave them with a long putt.
For eagle, because this is a par 5.
And Calvin, you want to go just inside that tree that he hit.
He probably threw it 5 feet past Johnny's line and just caught the big trees on the backside.
no.
Oh, and Matty was set up so nicely for that, what would have been a birdie look, and hits an early tree, and he's still got some work to do. McBeth from the rough, just trying to punch out, and lands right on the circle.
That shows you how bad the rough is. If Paul was 80 feet away and he could only get to circle's edge, that's... It's pretty much all Calvin could do from his position.
Oh, Matty, good run. I love the nice aggressive run. There's really no reason not to be aggressive on that one. And McCray, I think, is just outside circle's edge by a foot or two.
I bet we're going to see a step putt. Wow, step with Johnny.
Yeah,
Eagle.
an eagle from McCray. He's just tearing up this front half.
An eagle is insane on that hole. And Paul has a putt for,
Birdie.
yeah, birdie from circle's edge. Gonna have to settle for a par. I don't know if that big putt from Johnny for eagle, before he has to step up and make his, was in his head a little bit, but
Yeah, anytime you have someone make a putt further out than when you're standing, I feel like there's always a little bit of pressure of like, well, they just made it. I'd look dumb if I missed.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
exactly.
outside where I am, so they did it. Why shouldn't I?
especially if it's the guy that's, leading the card so far, he's hot, he's playing well, and he jams a long one for eagle. You got work to do.
And when's the last time you saw Paul McBeth 5 behind the leader after only about 10 holes? We're gonna move
Not
in.
often.
We're gonna move on to the next lettered hole, and this one, no walk in the park.
No, I think this is one of the harder par 4s to birdie. You've got to hit a really tight gap, probably throw about a 350-foot tee shot, and then you have an uphill turnover into the green. Tons of trouble, and Johnny makes it look really easy.
Yeah, look at that. That was the walk-off. Yeah, I mean,
He knew it.
That was the answer to Michael Joe's no-look putt, was the no-look drive.
Ooh.
Yeah, that spells trouble.
And really, it doesn't matter left or right. If you hit early and don't make it out, this hole gets a lot harder. Almost went in the creek, it looks like, but he's safe.
Of all kicks, I think that was one of the more favorable ones he could have got
I
there.
think you're right.
And McBeth just going for accuracy.
Yeah, that was his titanium buzz, Nate Doss edition. Ooh.
And Zach, you play with Calvin way more than I filmed him, although I filmed him quite a bit. This is more struggle than I've ever really seen from Calvin before. Is there anything he may have attributed that to?
He told me poor decision making. He actually told me about this hole ahead of time. He's on that second shot. He said, "I should have taken just a sidearm. There was a huge hole. Just punch it out, get it into the fairway, and have a chance for par." And he said, "For some reason, I turned and went to the bag and grabbed a destroyer and tried to send it, and that just did not work."
Go for the hero route. And
Yep.
McBeth lets that one come out early. So we saw him do it back on the tee before. Seemed like he wasn't fully committed to the forehand, and it looks like he wasn't committed there. And McCray's got a little putter action.
Park job.
Wow, JohnE McCray trying to pick up another birdie here on this front half.
Matt with a really nice putter turnover. Following Johnny's line. Calvin does not have an easy shot to save bogey. Made it look easy though.
He did. So McBeth, after a relatively poor approach shot, he still has a good look at birdie.
Still has a look. I think he knew it out of his hand.
Not quite enough. McCray's gone a little deep, putting back at the basket for bird.
Bang.
I mean, was there ever a doubt?
No, he's the first person I've seen go past this basket. This second shot is so uphill. That's impressive.
All right, we're going to watch these guys clean up here on Hole C. I want to thank Zach, along with the entire Tallahassee Disc Golf Club and organization and the City of Tallahassee, everyone involved with this event. It's been tremendous. We're only through the front half of the first round. We've got tons more action coming at you. We'll see you guys as we move into the back half. We'll see you there, Zach.
Thanks for watching, guys.